Good morning and welcome to the Dominate Ductless podcast, where we tell the stories of entrepreneurs who are building their businesses that are focused on ductless heat pumps. I'm Mike Cappuccio, the owner of Dominate Ductless, and I am real excited this morning to have a longtime friend and business owner, Tony Jones. So good morning, Tony.
Good morning, Mike. Thank you for having me.
How are we doing today?
I'm doing good here in beautiful Aiken, South Carolina.
South Carolina. Well, I'm in Southwest Florida today, and the weather's really nice.
Warmer there.
Yeah. Okay. I moved down here 2 years ago, so I spend 8 months down here now. So I'm actually really, truly enjoying it. So Tony, tell the audience a little bit about yourself and your company, and what you do in your day-to-day roles there.
Well, I may be different than some, but alike with a lot of others, as yourself, I'm an old school HVAC guy. Actually, I was a heating guy before there was AC. So that's
interesting.
after H. People always ask that question. So, 56 years in the business.
56 years. Wow. Congratulations.
My father started a business when I was young with myself, my 4 brothers, and my dad, and a few other guys. Remember cutting insulation for ductwork when I was 6 years old. There was no OSHA requirements back then. So I go back. We're in the business, family business, for 40 plus years. When my dad passed away, my older brother didn't want to continue, so he sold our business to another local company. I did strictly sales there for about 3 years, kind of bounced around a little bit, and then decided I'll just do it my damn self. Excuse my language. But
Okay.
I am a prototypical one-man show now, which I prefer. I have what I call a pit crew, a man and son who I bring in when we do replacements and or installs. I'm on the job the whole time. So I do the service calls. I do the help with the installs. I install sometimes myself. And the key to all that for me, Mike, as you and I have spoken before, is keep overhead as low as possible at just about any cost. So that's me. That's who I am.
That's good.
Sort of.
Well, Tony, when did we actually meet each other? I'm trying to.
We were in Charlotte, North Carolina at the Charlotte Motor Speedway for an N.E.T.R distributors and Mitsubishi class that you did. And that's where you might remember I came up with the term RFN HVAC, and a lot of people ask what that means, so I won't explain in full detail, but it's right now, heating and air.
That's great.
That's my mentality. So can't do it right now. Why bother?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that one. But you know what? That was a great event. I always talk to people about that event because that was the first time I was ever at a motor speedway or anything or saw anything of that caliber.
Right.
And I remember walking down to the front row at lunchtime when there was nobody there.
Yep.
I was just amazed at how fast those cars and trucks were actually going. And I also found it pretty interesting when we were doing a meeting, and at 10 o'clock we started hearing, and I said, "What the hell is going on out there?" And they were like, "Oh, they're doing some practice runs." But no, that was a great event. I always talk to people about that event and tell people about it.
Well, and it brought more people in, not just to see you, but to be at the track.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a great location. I mean, I've had some meetings at some different places throughout my career, and I'm going to tell you that was probably one of the best venues that I think I had ever been to. Where it actually had something going on. I mean, I've done them at football stadiums, baseball stadiums, but a racetrack is a real good place to have an event. So let me ask you this question, Tony. How did that training actually help you or help your business or help you understand anything? What did you take away from that? What did you walk away from there? What were some of the high points, the low points, and how did it help?
The main concept that I got, Mike, from you is it reaffirmed my idea of a ductless focused or a ductless only business. Be done, is there enough business out there to sustain a business and make a good profit? And yes, the answer is yes. And you reaffirmed that drastically to me.
Now, so did that, after that, did you do more heat pump installation?
Yes,
start to build that out?
yes, yes.
What, I guess, I know you're going to get to it, but it's kind of like, what opened the eyes to say, I can do this? Because I had the same bench. I had the same thing 25 years ago. And I thought it was crazy. I thought I was taking a risk like no tomorrow.
Yep. And by the way, I put my first ductless in 1995. So over 30 years I've been doing it, but not as a focus. But what I took away is, all right, so this guy can do it, although it's in a different market. That doesn't matter.
I'm glad you said that.
No, it doesn't matter, because in my belief, every home or business needs at least one ductless system. And if you don't offer it, they're damn sure not going to buy it.
No, exactly. They're not going to buy it if you don't offer it. You're absolutely right.
And I got from you also, Mike, the level of professionalism that I was needing to hear. We're, especially in the South, we're known as, and I love this term and I use it, we're a heating and air rednecks down here. Hey, now everybody wants to do it, so too bad.
First man in wins.
That's
First
right.
man in wins. Am I right or wrong?
You're exactly right.
Tony, I can remember going to ACCA events, right, in New England, and there would be 100 contractors there, and they would actually say that believe me, they would say that I was a stupid guy, and all my company knew how to do was hang plastic boxes on the wall.
I believe it. And there's guys.
And I'm like, okay, well, you know what? You guys keep doing what you're doing. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, and I'm going to be very profitable.
Damn right. And
because what I do takes a lot less time than what you guys do.
My motto is get in, get out, and get paid. And I don't have all the overhead. I don't have, I've been allergic to ductwork since I was 6 years old. So this gets me away from my allergies. And I say that jokingly, but yeah, you don't have to have ductwork.
You really don't.
No, I've done whole houses with them, multi-zones, all that. But the idea of the ductless, a lot of people still consider it, oh, it's like a window unit, or it's one of those things you can buy at Lowe's or whatever, or Home Depot. Yeah, you can go buy them and good luck. You'll call me eventually. So back to the professionalism of it and the focus on it is critical to me. I think it should be offered on every service call, every contact with a customer, an existing customer or new customer, because like I say, if they don't know about it, they're not going to buy it.
Exactly. And what I've incorporated into my training, because I'm going to tell you, I was in Minnesota last week.
Right.
And it was a funny meeting. And what actually came up was, there was a gentleman there from the manufacturer, and he actually said to me, he worked out in Seattle, and he said he's been transferred now to Minnesota. And he said, it's like I've been taken back in time in the heat pump ductless world. He said, this is a single zone market only. And I'm like, why is that? And he said, what we really need to focus the training on and what we're doing is adding a single zone ductless heat pump to a unitary replacement job.
Yep.
And I see a lot of guys doing it now. And I've built out in my training that I can show you the numbers of the replacement job, which is really good, because a lot of guys, look, that's what they do. They remove and they replace. You know what I mean? It's a big market in today's industry. And
yeah.
I want to show you what happens when you add a ductless system to it. Because why do you want to take $10,000 or $12,000 from someone when you're in a house when you could take 20 and actually solve the problems of what they're trying to do? And when you start adding tax credits and rebates and everything else into that, it actually reduces the cost of it and solves the problems. And have you ever done a job like that?
All the time.
Yeah.
And I mean, a couple of things to think about for me is I put them in master bedrooms. A 1-to-1 when I'm doing an existing change out, because we're not in the heating and air business, Mike. You know that we're in the comfort business.
Yeah.
In my community, we have a lot of retirees. 4,000 square foot house. They live in 3 rooms: the bedroom, the den, and the kitchen.
Yeah.
But they're a 5-ton and a 3-ton unit all day and every night, just to try to be comfortable. And some of my contractor buddies say, well, nobody's going to spend $6,000, $7,000 on a unit just for the bedroom. And I remind them, they just spent $10,000 on a damn mattress. Compare it.
I'm going to tell you something. I see that in Southwest Florida all day long now. I live in a gated community, and there's a guy down here, and he's known as the cool garage guy.
Yeah.
And you would think, who's going to spend $10,000 to $15,000 to $20,000 upwards sometimes to keep their garage air conditioned and dehumidified in the summertime? And I'm going to tell you, I see his signs around my community every day. He insulates a garage door with 2-inch dowel board.
Yep.
And he puts a 1-ton for one. I talked to him one day, and he says, I do a 1-ton for a 1-car garage, an 18,000 for a 2-car garage, and a 24,000 for a 3-car garage. And I insulate the door and everything. And then he told me the prices of what he charged, and I was like, wow, exactly what you said. The price. They don't even live in that section of the home. How's that?
Exactly. Well,
and they spend that kind of money. So I think people, it's nothing more frustrating when I'm doing a class and people bring up price.
Yeah, way down the list. That's the last thing I talk about with a customer.
Yeah, and I think you nailed it when you said, I got a 4,000 square foot house or a 3,000 square foot house, and I got a 5-ton system, and I run it all day long. But you go to bed at 10 o'clock at night, and you wake up at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. I could set that thing back to 80 degrees because I'm not even in that part of the house.
Exactly.
Even 85 degrees, I could even shut it. I could even turn it to cycle off at nighttime.
Yeah.
And come on in the morning, or whatever you want to do. I probably wouldn't say turn it off, but the energy savings on that, and then an inverter-driven system in a bedroom running at next to nothing in capacity.
They will never see it on a utility bill. Never.
No.
And they're comfortable.
Yeah.
Because a master bedroom with a master bathroom suite, one of the hardest places to keep comfortable there is.
Yeah.
One of these days, I'm going to get in touch with a mattress manufacturer and do a tag team it.
So let me ask you this question.
Speaking of the garage guy, I'm in my
garage.
This is my garage. So garages are very doable.
Yeah. You have a ductless system in your garage?
No, and I'll tell you why.
You're going to have one now.
We got a mutual friend, Rich Tatui.
Oh, Rich.
He came here. I'm big in golf and Masters. I work with the Masters golf tournament. And he and his son were here, and they were complaining about it being cold in the garage. He said, why don't you have heating and air in the garage? I said, Rich, here's the reason. Because then everybody else would want to be in my garage.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to get up there and go. I'm going to get up there someday and go to the Masters with you, Tony, because I know you've offered it to me before, but my son is really, we got to get up there someday and enjoy that. But I mean, if you were to really look at the two high level topics, I think what I heard was professionalism.
Yep.
And I can sell heat pumps
all day. Well, actually, they sell themselves.
Explain.
if you offer them, I would leave a card, a little flyer or a trifold or whatever you want to call it on every single service call that a service guy or owner like me goes on. Every one of them. You might get 3 out of 10. Well, that's not bad.
How many calls a week do you do?
I do maybe, and I don't do a lot because I don't chase it anymore, Mike. 3 to 5 calls a week, 2 units a week. I work 2 or 3 days a week and make about 125 grand a year, and then I go do what I want to do.
It's not a bad thing. You know what? I was showing guys some numbers because I actually kind of broke down that, when we talked about adding a single zone system to a unitary product. And if we figured an average job at $6,000, let's just say.
Yep.
And you did one a week, that's 300 grand.
Yeah, at about a 20% net profit.
Exactly. Do 2 a week.
That's
$12,000 a week. That's over $500,000 a year at a 20% net profit. So I'm going to do two ductless, and that's net profit. You know what I mean? That's profit. That's not including paying yourself as well. That's profit. I always tell that to guys. I'm like, don't just pay yourself. If you're in business, make sure you have a profit too.
Yep.
That's a nice little business model, isn't it?
And that my business model is 2 units a week. I'm good. And you can close in one day. You don't have to.
Yeah. The cool garage guy I talked to, he said his business model is the same thing. If I can do 2 units a week, I'm happy. He goes, but this time of year, he said in season when all the snowbirds are here, he said, I'm doing 4 to 5. He said, I can't even keep up. He says, I got a 4-week backlog right now.
Well, and that's, you average 2 a week, I guess, is really the better term.
Yeah, if you run it out through the summertime, but who wants to be working in the middle of the summer? Think about that. I'm in the air conditioning business, and he doesn't want to be busy in the summer.
My wife asked me when I restarted my company on my own, which was 10, 12 years ago, she said, honey, why don't you advertise? And I said, because then every damn body'd call me. I've been around town all my life, and people know me for that reason, so I don't have to advertise.
Yeah. Let me tell you, it's been a joy to talk to you today. I've really enjoyed the conversation. I'm glad that there's nothing more rewarding to me as a human being to hear that I actually helped somebody get on the right track.
You definitely did, Mike, and I would suggest any guy, lady, business to at least listen to you and see the process. But again, to me, it's all about a mindset, and that's where it's at. Yeah,
I guess if that's what you were to say to contractors in today's world, I mean, is some of them just don't think they don't think come into training, or not even training, but coming to listen to someone else talk. I think sometimes everyone thinks they know everything, and I know I didn't. I'll tell you that. I know I didn't when I was in business.
I totally agree, and that's why I'm still learning. 50 years later, I'm still learning because things are always changing. And with this ductless market that is still untapped, there's room for everybody.
Yeah, but you know what? The first guy in's the best guy in. You know what I mean?
I'm known as the ductless guy around my town. Even to other dealers, contractors, they refer me because.
Oh my God! How crazy is that?
Hey, I take every damn one of them.
So they refer to the highest profit margin making part of the job. Isn't that funny?
No question at all.
That is unbelievable. I can't wait to publish this podcast. I got to tell you, because this is one of the best conversations I think I've ever had with anybody on the show. I got to be honest with you.
Some people are afraid of money, Mike. I'm not.
No, I'm not afraid of money either. You know what? And I'm not afraid to ask for it. You know what? I'm going to go back to what you just said. It's mindset.
It's a mindset.
I was doing a class this week in up in Pittsburgh, and there was a guy sitting in the class, and he was just a grumpy SOB.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, I sold one unit last year to someone, and then I had to go back and sell another unit to him the following year, and it was $600 more, and they didn't want to pay it. And I was just like going, oh my God. I said to him, did you offer the tax credit? He said, what's the tax credit?
I have the tax.
I said, in reality, you could have sold it to him for $1,400 less if you knew what you were doing.
Yeah. I've got my own price book, and I've got tax credit noted on the qualifying equipment.
Yeah.
So, and that real quickly, another point is when you go to a job to provide pricing and options, you better damn be ready to give them that price while you're there.
Do you know 80% of contractors across the United States cannot give a price for a heat pump in a home today? They can give unitary.
I do it right now. A unitary, ductless, anything. I've got my own price book. And because they sell based on their cost, I don't. I base my pricing on what the industry or what the customer base is willing to pay. You'll find out.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. I'm telling you, I have contractors that can't price jobs. And when we're doing training now, we have to I really make a high point of it, of defining your price book. Define your price book. Define your price book. And they're looking at me like, what are you talking about? And I'm saying, guys, and I've now built out a complete price book for them. I mean, it's not their prices, but I've got a brand new sheet that I've put together to say, hey guys, here's a sheet for you. Here's a contract for you. Here's how to, you know what the funny part about it is too? They don't even know how to make the price. They don't even know how to put the price together.
That's scary.
It's very scary.
I've made price books for other contractors in my area and just give it to them.
Oh God. You know what? I think unitary, that it's so easy for them to price unitary. It's good, better, best. Bronze, gold, silver, whatever it is, and they know how to sell 14 SEER, 16 SEER, and 20 SEER.
Yep.
They don't know how to sell anything else. And I look at it and I'm like, guys, you can put that price book together with all your fancy pictures and everything else, but you can't at least put single zone pricing together.
I do the single zone pricing in my book, and if it's a multi-zone, I use a multiplier for each zone. It's not complicated.
It's not. They make it way more complicated than it is.
Way more complicated.
It's way too more complicated, and when I listen to that, it's like, guys, you don't make unitary complicated. You go 14, 16, 20.
Yep.
And you don't need, and don't pick 20 different manufacturers of ductless to sell, because it's just going to make things more complicated.
I've only manufactured my whole career.
Yeah. Pick one manufacturer and go with it. You don't want to be learning 500 different things. And, and then you get into these classes and it's like, well, I can buy this brand for, much cheaper, and I can buy that brand for this cheaper, and blah, blah, blah. And then I have to listen to the Mr. Cool scenario of that, this guy can go buy Mr. Cool and this and that. And I say to myself, how many people buy a Mr. Cool unit? Seriously?
It's because they're basing their pricing on their cost.
Yeah.
That sounds like I don't know. You got to have the cost, don't get me wrong, but my retail price is not solely on my cost of equipment, because there's more value there than just a markup on the cost of equipment.
Yeah. No, there's a whole scenario of things that can go into it. And I think you're absolutely right. And when you look at a job too, you could have an extremely high price for a job that is extremely easy.
Yep.
And that I can maintain the same profit margin on that job based on what my hours are going to take to do it. So can I do that job for less money? Yeah. Can I do it for more money? Yeah. I mean, it's really being able to look at a job and determine, like you said, what is the customer willing to pay for something?
Yeah. Yeah. And with my labor costs are set. because I pay the same price for whatever kind of unit we're putting in for my guys, my pit crew, as I call them.
The pit crew. I love that. I love that. It's a great thing. Well,
I could talk for days about this, Mike.
I could talk for days too. I mean, we both have a love and compassion. I mean, and I think that guys like us that have been in this for a long, long time, it's funny. I always say this to guys. Once you get into HVAC, it's very hard to get out.
Yeah, it's in your blood.
It's in your blood. I mean, here I am. I'm going to be 64 years old in a couple of weeks, and I'm saying to myself, I sold my company. I don't even have a company anymore, and I'm still working, teaching people, doing things. I'm working more now than I worked when I owned my company, for crying out loud. I was telling that to the gentleman reporting the podcast before we started. I said, it's crazy. But you know what? I enjoy it. I really enjoy it. I you know what? And you know what? I've taken the approach that you've taken, Tony. I'm going to tell you, I really have. I'm a one-man show.
Yeah.
I'm a one-man show, and you know what? I don't have any employees, and
nope.
I don't want to say it on the show, but it's probably one of the best things I enjoy is not having to manage people.
And
I love helping people, not managing people.
You and I talked about that in Tampa a couple of years ago, and I was told when I was in the second grade that I don't play well with others. Well, it was true.
Oh, God. Well, hey.
I love helping people with this, and of course, I love doing the business myself.
Yeah.
If anybody out there needs any, whatever, I'm always.
Yeah. I'm the same way.
Not trying to step on your toes, Mike, but
no, don't worry about it. Though you can't step on my toes. When I heard you say you're giving price books to your competitors, I love it. Yeah. Hey, at least they're all priced in the same way, right? But then they're giving you the job.
Yeah, I just did a 3-zone barn. Yes, a horse barn. It's a $2 million horse barn. I put multi-zone in the apartment part that a heating and air guy sent to me. It's a $20,000 job.
Why do you think he sent it to you?
Because they're afraid of the technology is one thing, but he doesn't have time to mess with those little things, is what he told me. I said, okay, please send me all of them.
Oh, God, that's crazy, but it's interesting. So, again, Tony, thank you for joining today. This is a great conversation. It really has. And I'm going to get down to that Masters someday with my son and I, because I know who to call. You've told me to call you. I've got your card. I've got it sitting right here in my drawer over here. My son is an accountant now, and sometimes his dates don't prevail. But I said, look, we got to make time to go do something that we've never done in our life and get that off the bucket list. So
yeah, please do.
I will. Thanks for joining.
All right, buddy. Take care, and thank you.
Nice meeting you, Tony. Take care. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Don.